On behalf of the motion picture industry, welcome to the world of home video entertainment.
So I want to do a review of this movie, iZombie. iZombie Chronicles of Pain, or The Chronicles of Pain. I don't think it's A Chronicle of Pain. I think it's The Chronicles of Pain. This was a 1998 film. I think it was shot in 97, but then released everywhere in 1998. British low-budget zombie film, directed by Andrew Parkinson. It was distributed in the U.S. by Fangoria Films. Fangoria had a label where they were trying to do independent horror films in the late 90s. You know, remember in the early 90s they had the Fangoria films that they released, those Columbia TriStar films like Children of the Night and Severed Ties and Mind Warp. Well, this was kind of like stage 2 of that, where they partnered with this Bedford Entertainment, I believe, the DVD production company, and they lent the Fangoria name to a series of independent horror film releases on VHS and DVD. They started out on VHS. This is the late 90s. Remember, this was still VHS. And iZombie was a film I'd always wanted to watch, and never quite gotten around to it. And I didn't like the VHS, the US VHS art. It was very garish. It tried to replicate the cover layout of Fangoria magazine. It didn't look very appetizing, but apparently I think it did very well on video. It was everywhere. It was every video store had Fangoria iZombie, and you know, I watched it, and it's a real good movie. It was a real good movie. No, I had no reason to watch it. I've been reevaluating the zombie movies of the 90s, because I passed a lot of them by, like Shatter Dead. I passed that one by, and I watched it a few years ago, and it blew my mind. It was like an atomic warhead on my consciousness. It was great. I was like, whoa, and what else am I missing? So, unlike Shatter Dead, iZombie was actually shot in 16mm, and it's a very quiet type of zombie movie. There's an AIDS metaphor, maybe an AIDS allegory or something there. It's just about this guy, and he goes into the woods, and he's bitten by a zombie, and so he's infected. So he abandons his girlfriend, he gets his own apartment, and he sets about, satisfying his hunger for human flesh and decaying in the apartment, dreaming, having these hallucinations, fantasies of his life with his girlfriend, as his girlfriend is half worried to death, wondering what happened to him. The kind of wraparound sequences in these films, in this film, is this kind of documentary interview with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's new boyfriend, where they just kind of are talking about this guy, like, as wondering what happened to him. I think that might have been used for in order to kind of flesh out the structure of the film and the filler, because I think they worked a long time on the structure of this film and getting it right. But I mean, the movie is just a great, quiet movie. You could see it as I said, an AIDS metaphor, a metaphor on trying to leave someone and broken relationships, and it's a kind of a relationship film, a breakup film, where this guy is, trying to break up, but he can't move, literally can't move on, literally can't live. He's, dying inside. You could throw a lot of ideas at the film. But I watched it on YouTube. That's the only place I could find it. It was released on VHS and DVD, and it hasn't, as far as I know, it's not been released on Blu-ray yet. But it was shot on 16mm, so I think there is a possibility of doing a high definition release if the market wants it. but the only place I could really find it was on YouTube. So I watched a really bad YouTube copy. If you go on Roku, there's iZombie is on a lot of Roku channels, actually. These free horror channels on Roku, but they all have, when you the copy looks wonderful, but when it's like about 2 seconds in, it starts playing the commentary. So it doesn't actually have the audio of the film. It has the commentary audio on all of these Roku channels that have iZombie. So I guess if you want to watch it, you can watch it on YouTube, then switch to Roku and actually listen to the commentary. But I'm going to track down a DVD with the commentary. I mean, the film is kind of, if you love Shatterdead and you love these kind of angsty, really depressing, very serious type of zombie films, I think iZombie would be up your alley. Up on your alley. Okay, I don't know what that. The original VHS art and DVD art from Fangoria, very inappropriate. It's not that type of garish film. It's something a lot more slower and simpler. I think that you could make some comparisons to Jörg Bucharest's Necromantic, in the sense that it's about a guy and a girl and a breakup, and then the guy eventually, there's this thing involving at the very end, which is supposed to be a shock scene. In Necromantic, there's a shock scene at the very end, and there's kind of a version of that shock scene at the end of iZombie, but it's like it's a polite English version of it. It's like a polite English version of Necromantic, where, of course, Necromantic's about necrophilia and iZombie's about, zombification. But, so they're different there. But some of the similarities, it just really strikes me as that maybe they saw it, but they made like a polite British version of it. That's kind of what I think. Also, Tetsuo. I wonder if Andrew Parkinson, I haven't seen, again, I haven't listened to the commentary. I may need to get the Roku channel back. I haven't listened to the commentary for the film, but I don't know if anybody had seen Tetsuo the Iron Man, because the idea of someone going out and having an accident and coming back, and this dynamic with the girlfriend, and then the body modification with the metal stuff, reminded me vaguely of Tetsuo as well. So I don't know, but overall the film, very original, very good. The film was, as I said, late 90s, and it was the kind of a little mini British horror resurgence there with iZombie, which I think did very well, sold all over the world, and there was other films like The Last Horror Film, and there was, so there was a few kind of British horror films that were getting the spotlight there, and Andrew Parkinson, the director of iZombie, went on to do another film, Dead Creatures, which is kind of like a zombie cannibal film, like a group of women zombies, kind of like a successor to iZombie, kind of the spiritual sequel. I want to track that. I haven't watched that either, but I need to track that down. And then he did this weird movie, Venus Drowning, that I've read about. So it's very, very fascinating stuff that, I'm just kind of rediscovering here almost, oh my God, almost like 20 years after they're long gone, This is probably, if Andrew Parkinson is seeing this, he's probably, well, why don't you fucking watch my movie when it just came out, dude? I can benefit from it financially, but I remember the film. It's still out. It's still in my head. I still keep it alive in my memory. So as long as that happens, I think that's. I think you can get something, if not financially, morally, and spiritually. I send out my love to the filmmakers of this film. Good stuff. iZombie.